Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have Craig Lytle on the line. He's a holistic financial planner, he's a long term care advocate, and has many years of background in the insurance industry. And so it's my pleasure to have him on the show today. Thanks for joining us, Craig.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
So, Craig, how did you get into the insurance and financial services world in the first place?
So I wanted to be in radio and television broadcasting of all things. And what ended up happening is I sold advertising for a radio station. One of the advertisers recruited me into the industry, and I'm very grateful that he did back in 1998.
And it turns out, I guess you do get to be on TV here, sort of.
Strange. Strange how it worked.
Yeah, worlds colliding. But I wanted to talk to you today about long-term care planning. And I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart. How did you kind of become aware of the long-term care world?
Well, I see the impact of it, where mainly what people want to focus on is retirement. And a big threat to retirement is healthcare costs that they don't think of until an event happens. And so, in helping people to be as proactive as possible in their estate planning and retirement income planning, this is a very natural, I think, problem, a very common problem, and one that many times people don't think of until something happens, and then their choices are more limited.
Right. And, one of the reasons it appealed to me to interview you today is just how client-centric you are, how much you care about the families that you work with. And I know you and your family had a personal experience with long-term care. Can you tell us a little bit about your parents?
Yeah, that was, following an anniversary trip back in September. My parents both ended up hospitalized with life-threatening events. Dad in ICU and ended up on dialysis. Mom had a blood clot in the leg that broke loose and ended up in her lung. And so they're both hospitalized pretty much all of October, released to rehabilitation and assisted living in most of November. They came to our home for Thanksgiving. And then my sister took them back to their home where they had, continually rehabilitation and some home care and community-based care. But that took quite a bit of time and attention, and I'll say was a distraction. So in doing all the planning for roughly 20 years, actually living through that day to day, obviously felt very emotional, very different. And it was an experience that I'm grateful for in some ways, because I feel that now in communicating with people, I can truly be more of an advocate, be more of a guide, and tell them not only the financial implications, but what it does to relationships with parent-child and even siblings.
Yeah. And I think there's more people out there that have actually experienced it like that. I mean, there's 44 million unpaid caregivers today, usually daughters taking care of their parents, but also sons. And, until you live it, you really don't see the realities of it, right?
That's right.
Really experiencing. Now, I know you also have kind of talked to some clients recently about long-term care, and I know you had a story about Bob and Carol. Can you tell us a little about the clients that you worked with?
Sure. Bob and Carol I've known since roughly 2000 or so. They have 3 children, the oldest of which graduated college very recently. 2 are still in college. They have 3 of the 4 parents still living. One's on claim with a long-term care policy that I had sold back in 2001. And it's very near paying out all of the benefits, slightly over $350,000 in total over roughly 5 years' time, sometime in 2015, and has just a few months left on it before all of the benefits are fully paid out. And they're really close to their own retirement. As I said earlier, getting their last 2 children through college, and then dealing with the health care of their aging parents. And it is real life. It's real relationships and real people dealing with real problems. And so it's, I think, a calling in a lot of ways to help people navigate through the choices and determine which compromises they're willing to accept and which risks they're willing to take, and really securing their retirement income while spending the time with the people that they love most and having no regrets at the end of it all.
Right. I know, of course, we hope never to have to use our policies. But in this case, with one of your clients actually almost using all of her policy, I'm sure she got the value of what it was that you provided to that family.
both financially and non-financially. I think the biggest benefit is that the family can coordinate the care without being the hands-on caregiver, and that's a blessing.
I see. So, and now you're working with them kind of in that sandwich generation. I know you talk about that sandwich generation a lot. They're taking care of their kids, are taking care of their parents, but they are thinking about their long-term care plan now, having had that personal experience.
We're in the midst of this COVID-19 coronavirus where, children are displaced from school and learning online, parents are displaced from work and working at home.
Mhm.
It's becoming very real to even more people who were in the sandwich generation before, but really didn't think of themselves in that way. Today, it's day to day while they're compromised with time and attention of everything that they need to do with time and money. And it's feeling very real because they've got, compromises to make about where their time and money is spent with and for the people that they love most in this world.
Yeah, and we're getting that inquiry a lot now during COVID-19. I know you had mentioned with these clients, they're in their early 50s, they're in the medical profession, and so they're really tuned into this. And we're hearing about, long-term care a lot more because people are more attuned to their health and health insurance and things like that.
For sure, out of all the challenges and abrupt changes to our normal routine, I think one of the best things about it, if there's any positive to be said, is that people are more focused now on health and relationships in particular.
Yeah, very good. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show today. I really hope to have you a guest on future episodes as we work more closely together and ultimately help, our clients get more long-term care plans into place.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's good to be here.